especially one about, and I want us to start our lesson right away. Oh, so our work is here. Let me now share my screen. Oh, Einstein, I had not got your message. Einstein,
Yes,
did you say you can help share the work on your screen?
yeah, I can do.
Okay, now I'm going to share it with you on WhatsApp. Please send me a message. Send me a message saying hello. Then I'm going to forward the PowerPoint right away.
Mm,
Okay. Very first lesson. You can just go step by step. Just move to the next slide very fast until when you get to lesson 3. This is our third time meeting. We introduced the topic of childhood memories. And in our first lesson, as you can see in this PowerPoint, we went through letter writing. Then the second lesson, we had comprehension. And today we are going to have our third lesson. Let's move to the next slide. So someone was already asking which lesson this is, and this is English. And our topic today is going to be creative writing, and we're going to focus on tips for exceptional creative writing. In this course that you're doing, before you complete your O-level course, you're going to have to do creative writing imaginative compositions, writing argumentative compositions, writing essays, and many others. But for today, I want us to focus on creative writing. Has your teacher in your school asked you to write a story and you struggle? Have you read someone's story and you wonder how they do it? Have you read your friend's story and you wonder how they get to express their thoughts very well, that they are understood much better than you, and you wonder how they do it? Today we are going to have this lesson, and I'm hoping that by the end of this lesson, we will have the following achieved. Let's get the next slide. Yes, we are going to have these as our lesson objectives. By the end of this lesson, I expect that we shall all be able to at least analyze 10 tips for exceptional creative writing. Some of them are exam-based and others are just open. In case you want to write a novel, in case you want to write creative stories, in case you want to write online novellas and small stories and short stories for people to read and follow you, you are going to analyze tips you may have to employ to stand out from the crowd, to set yourself apart. I want us to apply at least 4 rules to write at least one creative story. By the end of this lesson, we should be able to write at least one story about our childhood memories, employing those skills that we'll have read about. Okay. Then I want us to read at least 5 story prompts. We are going to get this from our textbook, which we all have, but I'm going to share my screen and share them. They are prompts. And then at the end of the day, clearly write at least one complete creative story. I hope you cooperate and write some of these stories. Just like last time, we had work on comprehension passages, and many people wrote their answers, which were correct. Many people wrote the interview. We also had that last assignment about interviews. I'm encouraging you to keep doing this work. When we have lessons and you log out and just leave them there without doing the assignments, it beats the whole purpose of these lessons. E-learning works a lot more with a lot of cooperation. So I pray that by the end of this day, we shall have all our work done and we shall not have people writing on our screens. Let's just cooperate. Yes. Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. So these are tips for exceptional creative writing. Now I want to first ask, Einstein, you can take us back to the first slide before people copy some of these highlights. I want to now hear it from you. Who is your favorite author and why? What makes their creative work stand out? What makes them your best? And if you have a friend in school who writes better than you, what makes their work stand out? What are those tips that we would want us to know even before we start the lesson? If you have your favorite author or writer, or if you have a friend at school who has amazing work and you want to share with us what their secret is, please share. I'm going to start with Happy.
Madam,
Yes,
my
please.
favorite author is called Mary Higgins. I like her works because she writes more about what happens in the reality, and her works are mostly about investigation of people's deaths and how mysteries are solved in different ways. Though at most times when she's writing those books, she mostly talks about the deaths that are not known about, and at the end they are solved, but after going through a lot of struggles. So to me, I like books that are more of such stuff of investigation, finding mysteries.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Happy. Happy loves the storyline in that writer's works. Okay, then Husna, share with us what makes that work stand out. What do you find?
For me, I prefer the stories and works of an author called Jude B.H. What I like
Why?
about her works is that whenever she is writing, like she is writing about something, instead of using words, she always gives out the feelings of the person in the book using their expressions.
Okay.
Like if a person is being sarcastic, she always
Mhm.
mentions that they are smirking and doing such things.
Okay, this is very interesting and it coordinates very well with the lesson I've prepared. Thank you very much. Showing your writer, your reader, rather than just telling them, it makes your work so creative. Thank you for identifying that, Husna. I have Zuriel. Yes, Zuriel.
I like the author called Anna James Paul of the way she expresses the people's feelings. You could even imagine, yeah, you can imagine as you're reading and you get to understand everything.
Okay, thank you. Zuria also likes descriptions, especially of feelings and places, because they appeal to her sense of imagination, to her thought, to her mind. And that's very important. Do we have any other person that wants to share something that can make your work creative? I have someone here. Help. Please unmute. Tell us your name and then give us your point. Okay, let me hear from Kaylee. Kaylee, are you there? Okay. Raina?
I think something that can make your work creative is the way you compose it, where you have written it, maybe the designs or something like that, and the decorations.
What do you mean by that?
You can design maybe you're writing a book, a story about something, like these kids' books, kids' storybooks. You can decorate them with cartoons. It's like being creative to attract more customers to buy them.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Thank you very much. I like that point. If you're writing a book, Raina's point is about illustrations. If there is someone that is screaming and you want someone to understand the intensity of the pain, you may have to draw a picture right next to your words, and it helps the reader to exactly understand what you mean. Thank you for raising that point. Kaylee, I gave you a chance, but you disappeared. Maybe you can unmute now.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good
I think
afternoon to you, Kaylee.
I think the storyline can make your work creative.
What do you mean?
Like maybe the story like
Oh, sorry about that. But her point is about the storyline, the kind of story that you choose to write. At the end of the day, we've talked about the descriptions, whatnot, but your kind of story will tell if you're creative or just ordinary. Okay, thank you. Then I have someone using Technopop 5. Let me ask them to unmute. They told me their name. Yes. What's your name?
This chance, may I think also content, whereby if you write content and it's based on a true story, it sometimes captivates people's minds that it once happened to him or her. That's the one which is being written. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. I've struggled to get your point, but I think it was about writing stories based on true stories, true life events. Those ones stand out because usually they are not out of fiction, and someone maybe can easily relate, especially when you tell them it's based on a true story. However, we have people who write fiction and they make you believe their work. But I get your point. Stories based on true life events usually have have a pitch of truth and on authenticity. Okay, I have Trevor over here. Yes, Trevor. Trevor, do you think you can unmute? Mm. Yes, please, Trevor.
My favorite author is Richard Human. What I like from him and his books which he composes is that the books about emotions and life and the lifestyle of people, and that's the way he composes his books based on the feelings and emotions of the person.
Okay. Thank you very much, Trevor. Trevor likes that author because of their appeal, emotional appeal. They write more about people's feelings, and at the end of the day, they also end up appearing and appealing to Trevor's feelings. Thank you very much. Husna and Happy, your hands are up. I don't know if you forgot to lower them because you had already given us your points, but let me see if you have something else to say, starting with Husna.
Madam, another thing about what I like about this author is that they always capture the feelings and the minds of the readers. What I mean is that in every statement they do, they always leave you in a suspense, which forces you to read the next one and the next one and the next one.
Okay, that element of suspense, making you want to know what happens. It's very important
Yes,
for you
ma'am.
to keep your readers on their tenterhooks, on to whet their curiosity and make sure they want to read more. Some people write their stories, and honestly, even their teachers can't read them to the very end because there is no suspense. You already know what happened, or nothing is compelling you to read more and more. So Husna's point is a strong one. You must captivate your audience to make your work stand out. Find a way of hiding something from them and making them yearn to read more and more until they get to the very end. Okay, then finally for this session of brainstorming, Happy, your hand is still up.
Madam, I just wanted to add on that also the title of the book, it's also like a main key that attracts the reader's attention to keep on reading or to give the reader urge to know what's in that book.
I agree with you 100%. The kind of title that you choose sometimes helps people to anticipate, to be expectant, to know that they are yet to read a wonderful story. So the kind of title that you choose will determine if your work is top notch or not. However, don't have just a wonderful title without wonderful content. It should be relevant to your work and not disappointing. I've gone to bookshops and I pick stories based on their wonderful titles, and on reading I get so disappointed and I can't even read the story to the very end. So pick a wonderful title, give it wonderful content, and then you'll be an excellent writer. So I have a new name here, Teddy. Before I close this chapter, let me give you one chance. Teddy, you can unmute.
The rest is a big shoe.
Yes, Teddy? Oh, the network is not friendly, but maybe you can find a better spot and then we shall have to go through this again. Trevor, do you think I can hear you better now? Okay, so instead we can go to the next, yes, this very slide. Let me have someone to read for us. If you know you want to take part in the reading, please raise your hand and read for us those first two tips. Okay, I have, who is here? Raina. Yes, Raina?
Tips for exceptional creative writing. Have a captivating title, one that triggers the reader's thought, allows deep imagination, and brights their curiosity or interest. Iggy, childhood chaos, disaster, bicycle trial, looking back, moving forward, the granary ghost, everything running, crazy company, crazy friends. Have an intriguing starter. This is the very first sentence of your story. E.g., the day I discovered a secret door in my bedroom still sits fresh in my memory. We are supposed to tell our parents everything, but I did not know how to narrate what happened to me the first day I visited my uncle.
Thank you so much, Raina. So, friends, like we have already mentioned, we are not going to compromise on an amazing title. You must have a captivating title. By all means, you must choose a title that sharpens the curiosity or the interest of your reader. Someone should want to know what this the granary ghost story is all about. It's just the title, but you see, you want to know a granary, a place where we keep food, then a ghost. I want to read this story. So your title must be carefully chosen. It should be a short title. Don't have a title that is a complete sentence. Your teacher asks you to write about the most interesting childhood memory you hold, and your title is the most interesting childhood memory I hold. No, 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 no. You can be more creative than that. So imagine crazy company, disaster bicycle trial. We can almost guess what this what this story is going to be about. So choose your title carefully and make sure it can arouse interest. Let someone have you on their to-do list. I must read this story today. I want to know what it's about. And then the second tip is about having an intriguing starter. When you're starting your story, don't just start it in a vague way. Continue to hook your reader by having a wonderful sentence, the very first sentence of your story. For example, imagine a story that starts like this. The day I discovered a secret door in my bedroom still sits fresh in my memory. You'd want to know. Remember, you remember our topic, childhood memories. Imagine a child telling you that they discovered a secret door in their bedroom. Where would you think it was leading them to? You may want to read that story to discover more. And maybe if someone starts their story like this, we are supposed to tell our parents everything, but I didn't know how to narrate what happened to me the first day I visited my uncle. Oh, you would want to know what happened. Was it a rape case? Was it attempted murder? Suicide? Witchcraft? Magic? Do you think it was so surprising and maybe entertaining that they didn't know how to start on the wonderful experience? So that very first sentence should ignite your reader's thought if you want to write exceptionally. Okay. In the next slide, we have some more starters. Let Einstein take us there and we see. Okay. Let me see if I can get another reader. I need somebody to read for us. Okay. Help. I don't know if that's your name. Please tell us your name and then read for us. Ask to unmute. Okay. What's your name, dear? Oh, okay. Sorry about that because we can't hear you. So let me ask Josiah to read for me.
Yes, good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon, Josiah.
More starters. Time heals wounds, but my heart has refused to move on from the slices of excruciating pain my elder sister caused me as a child.
Continue.
Many people discover their passion at 12, but I undoubtedly unearthed mine at 4. They say too much of anything is always bad, but my grandmother's tender affection always sustained a steady longing in all of us in many ways. Never feel so safe in the hands of a stranger. I learned this. I learned this. I learned this. I learned this the hard way on Thursday, 16th May of 2018. Trying to live, but trying to live by saying, work without play made Tom a dull boy. got me to a near-death experience.
Okay. Thank you very much, Josiah. So we can even write some of these starters in our books. Yeah, if you're having a notebook, you can write them. These are just generated by me. I got some in Meta AI, maybe like 3 of them, but many of them I wrote. So you can write in your book, and whenever you want to write a story, maybe it's about a session where you had a nasty experience with a stranger, you can start them like that. Never feel so safe in the hands of a stranger. I learned this the hard way on Thursday, 16th May 2018. You are starting your story, and that very first sentence should hook your reader, should make them want to read more and more about your story. I've taught students who tell me they struggle to start the story. They have the story, they have what happened, they have the plot, they have the points, but then they don't know how to start. So when you get that very first sentence, it kicks you off. It starts you off, and you know how to continue and expound your story better. You can always start yours. Some people like starting with common sayings. They say too much of anything is always bad. But on this very day, I learned that a mother's love is never too much to take in. That's someone about to write about a very exciting experience with their parent. Time heals wounds, but my heart has refused to move on from the slices of excruciating pain my elder sister caused me as a child. You may want to start your story just like that. And you can choose any other saying that is relevant to your theme, to the topic you're going to write about. Okay. Instant, let's move on. We have the third tip. After having the wonderful title and following it up with your first paragraph, with your first starter, what then do you have to do to make your story stand out? Who is going to read for us our third tip? I need a new reader. Okay. Let me allow Maria. Maria, please unmute.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon, dear.
So, after hooking your reader with a mouth-watering starter, go ahead and develop your first paragraph. Introducing your storyline, setting, characters, and events. Keep your characters few, or 3 to 4 characters. Keep your physical setting limited to 1 or 2 places. Time setting is strictly 12 hours. Describe the details of one major event.
Thank you so much, my dear. You're so articulate, and you're a good reader. So, friends, I picked this third tip carefully thinking about your examination guidelines. If you're writing a creative story for examination purposes, please remember that this is a short story. Don't write a short story and it has 10 characters. At the end of the day, you will miss out on the details. So keep your characters few. If you're writing your story, usually the exam even dictates for you to use 500, 600 words. So that is typical of a short story, not a novel, for you to have 10 characters. I implore you to choose only, maybe even 2 people can suffice. They can be enough. And then maximum 4. If you're going to write about your brothers, keep them 4. Or if your parents are featuring in the story, let them just be 2, and maybe the 2 of you. Yes. Then for physical setting, these are places. If the story is at home, let it keep at home. And if you must put another setting, then maybe church, maybe a cinema hall, or maybe a playground. Don't have church, school, dormitory. It kills the story. It kills the original sense of your story. Please keep it one or two places. Then about time setting, let your story be strictly within 12 hours. It makes you more creative and it gives you time to give the details. I have seen stories of students who write and they have things like, after 1 week, after 1 month, I met Linda again. You know, such time settings are allowed when people are writing larger stories, like for novels. Maybe if you're writing a play and someone wants to act it out, you're allowed to give it all that time. But if you're writing just a short story, keep it within 12 hours from morning to evening, or if it's at night, from evening to morning time throughout the night. It allows you to focus on just those events and you give the details of what you're writing. Then it goes without saying that you must give the details of one major event. If you're writing about the most embarrassing experience of your life, choose that one most embarrassing event. Then give it the exact details. Okay. Let's see what we have in the next slide, Einstein. Okay. I think this was Husna's point. Let's get someone to read it. Show, don't tell. This is the main tip of creative writing. If you violate it, then your work will be vague. If you understand it very well, you will wonder how you become an expressive writer, a creative writer, a wonderful writer. So I need someone that has not done anything for us to read. If you know you've not done anything and you're dying to contribute to this lesson, please raise your hand and be our reader. Okay, I have BB. I don't know what your name is. You can tell us your name.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bernard.
Yes, Bernard.
There is power in giving Gary the details. Show them the vivid detail. Allow them to judge for themselves. Linda was a beautiful girl, and this excited me. No, Linda's pink lips, graceful long neck, and round blue eyes got me stammering and breathless. When she came closer and murmured something to me that must have been a greeting, my palms got sweaty. Instead of writing that you were happy, write about how you are laughing boisterously on top of your voices, liking yourself to uncontrollable wild hyenas.
Thank you so much, Bernard. You're a good reader. I like the way you read. So people, the most important, the cardinal rule of creative writing is showing the reader and not telling them. If you're going to write about a beautiful girl, instead of, imagine if your friend comes to you and, they tell you that they found a beautiful girl. Is that a creative way of telling a story? No. Describe, give the details, show. Because usually what you describe as what you think is beautiful may not be that beautiful to another person. What you describe as ugly may be someone's exact description of beauty. So as a creative writer, don't make it your business to judge for your readers what was beautiful. What you consider scaring may be someone's hobby, someone's joke. So don't make it your business to describe things for your readers. Just show them and let them enjoy the flow of your story without you dictating. So I picked some few examples. Linda was a beautiful girl and this excited me. Come on, what do you mean? What happened to you when you saw her? And what did you see? So another creative writer may do it like this. Linda's pink lips, graceful long neck, and round blue eyes got me stammering. You have described Linda's physical appearance against your reaction to her. And it goes without saying yet you're describing someone beautiful that excited you, that got you happy, or maybe wanting to talk to them, wanting to have them close to you. So as a creative writer, beautiful can be described without you telling us the word beautiful. Now, I picked another example. Someone is writing about an experience, maybe with friends, and they were very happy, maybe picking some mangoes or stealing something, that is exciting to them. So instead of saying that you were very happy or you were happy, you would rather take your time and describe what was happening. The four of us were laughing boisterously on top of our voices. That is indirectly telling someone that we were happy or excited without saying the word happy and excited. Then you can use similes. Similes are a very creative way of showing emotions. Have you seen uncontrollable wild hyenas laughing? You can liken your group to them. We were just like uncontrollable wild hyenas. It brings out your information in a creative way, and many others. Okay, let's get to the next slide as I check what's happening on this group chat. I see my co-host is asking people to concentrate. Okay. In my opinion, the best writers are those writing about business. Okay, that's okay. I also like business books. Okay. No one is misbehaving here, but please concentrate. Let's get the tips. At the end of the day, I don't want you to be struggling to write simply because you didn't get the tips. All right, so we have the fifth tip. Let me see if we have someone willing to read for us. Help. I asked you to unmute. You didn't, so I hope you can unmute now and tell us your name. Then you read for us. Okay, what's your name? I don't know if you have engaged your device audio settings. So let me get Nora. Nora, please unmute.
Okay, tip 5. Employ the exaggeration. Do not hesitate to blow things out of proportion. Hyperbole is the basis of imaginative creativity. Just keep it in believable amounts. Exaggeration works best when describing feelings, reactions, places, people, items, etc. Use metaphors, similes, vivid descriptions, humor to expound your story.
Yeah, thank you so much, my dear Nora. So this is our fifth tip. And as you're writing stories for your teachers, writing for your audiences, as you're writing even messages to your friends, and you're describing an experience, if you have an exciting, wonderful experience at home and you want to explain it to a friend, even in a WhatsApp message, do not hesitate to blow things out of proportion. I mean, employ the exaggeration. It makes your work more humorous, and someone will get hooked to read on and on to understand your work or your experience or what you want them to know. Just keep it in believable amounts. I don't want to find pregnant men in your stories, since the teacher talked about exaggeration. But, as a metaphor, you could write about a pregnant man, someone who has a very big stomach. You could use it as a metaphor. And if you're explaining your feelings, maybe of shock, you could use the hyperbole. You say, it got me dead. I stopped breathing for literally 5 minutes. That's not possible. But you want to explain the depth of your shock. So you add some spice to your story. It makes your work more interesting. And you know what is creativity without interest and humor? You may want to employ exaggeration. Okay, next slide, Einstein. Okay, let's get another reader. Please, if you haven't read and you want to take part. I saw Zara previous time. Yes, Zara, you can unmute.
Good afternoon, teacher.
Good afternoon, Zara.
Tip 6, the value of coherence. Let your story be coordinated well from the beginning to the end. Develop it from the cause to the climax and then the effects. It should have a natural plot flow to sustain your reader's interest. Ensure your story can be followed clearly and it makes sense. Let it answer the question or stick to the theme from the beginning to the end. Remember to keep your content related to the title you choose or you will choose.
Thank you so much, Zara. You're another good reader that we have on this call. So friends, there is value in writing a unified story. Let your story make sense from the beginning to the end. Don't lose track. Don't lose track, please, as you're writing a story. After hooking your reader with a nice title, a good starter, an excellent first paragraph, and you've started on this story where maybe you go on an adventure with your family and you're so excited. Now don't lose track and you start writing about nutrition or the value of tiles in construction. I mean, stay focused, stay true to the story. If your theme is about an adventurous tale, now talk about the road trip, continue to talk about the animals that you've met, maybe the people, the food. Let your story be coherent and develop it from the beginning, from the cause, the start of the events, the climax, which is the highest point of your tale, and then the effects. If you went to steal mangoes, you go to the tree, ate them, enjoyed yourself, and as you're finishing to eat them and laughing on top of your voices, the chairperson LC1 lands on you. Now you have started enjoying the effects of your misbehavior. So that is the effect. Your story moves from cause, climax to effects. Let it be well coordinated and it will have a natural plot flow. And therefore it will sustain your reader's interest. They want to read on and on, get to the climax, and then, oh, what happened to these children after they were caught red-handed stealing the chairperson's mangoes? So you have to write it following that. Make sure that your story can be followed clearly. I have read some of my students' stories, and I start when I'm following the story very well, and at the end of the day, I can't decide or I can't exactly tell what they are writing about. Let someone be able to follow your story clearly. Well, you will have the sparks for using special vocabulary, but don't miss out on the simplicity of writing. Write simple, clear English. And if you must use a complicated word, a new word that you learned, then use it. Then go back to simple, clear language. It will make your work better. Don't forget to answer the question. People who misfire get 0. I had a student I was teaching back in the day, and I set a question for them to write for me a story based on the saying or the proverb. No, it was a title. I cast the day I was born. I wanted them to write a story based on that phrase. I cast the day I was born. Now, the first mistake that my student made was to misread the question, and he changed the word cast to crushed. So his story was about, I crushed the day I was born. And you know what the story was about? It was about 2 parents in the same labor ward. One parent produced my narrator, the boy that was writing the story. Another mother produced a baby girl who was so beautiful. And this baby of just maybe 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes, looked at the other baby and crashed on the baby. And the story was entirely about crashing on the day you were born. I read the story, I laughed at it, I gave him his 0. So as you're writing your story, you must answer the question. Read it carefully. If you must read it twice or thrice, and make sure you understand it. The good thing, you'll have 2 options for creative writing. Choose the story that you understand best and write it well. Make sure you are answering the question. Stick to the theme. If they have given you a proverb you don't understand very well, please leave that question alone and do the other option. Otherwise, you'll get a 0. Then remember to keep your content related to the title. If you have chosen Granary Ghost as your title, then make sure in your story we get to see something related to a ghost in a granary. Please, for your level, for O level, don't choose ironic titles that you want someone to read and it's not direct. Choose a direct title and make sure your content is directly related to the title that you choose. It will do you good justice. Okay, Einstein, let's get to the next. Okay. So I put all the other tips within your format, content, language, expectations of imaginative composition. These are the things you must do if you are writing a composition or a story. Let me see if I can get a reader. Maria Martha, I see your hand is raised. Please read for us.
The FCL of imaginative composition. Have a title. Use indented paragraphs. Do not skip lines. Use at most 2 pages of the foolscap, at least 1 3/4 depending on your handwriting. Use the past tense consistently. Without switches to the present, you are narrating a past event. Use a variety of sentence lengths and constructions, relatively long and short, different structures. Apply your paper to and grammar studies.
Thank you so much, Maria, for reading wonderfully. And like I said earlier on, the format, content, and language expectations. So as you're writing this story, your teacher has expectations, and there are things you must write for you to have wonderful scores. So we have already talked about the title. Choose a title. As part of the format of a creative story, it must have a title and then paragraph. So if your story has no title, you will lose a mark. And it's not good for you to start losing even before you begin on your journey of writing. So have a title. At least get all the marks for the format. Your story must have a title and paragraphs and complete sentences. So at least have those full marks for the format of your story. Then use indented paragraphs. The good thing, I have an example for us, so you will see what indented paragraphs look like. Do not skip lines. Do not use the block kind of paragraphing. Please use indented paragraphs. Those that allow you to move a centimeter or 2 from the margin, and then you introduce a new paragraph. And then before I leave the idea of paragraphing, when do you open a new paragraph? Do you open it when you feel like it's big enough? No. You open a new paragraph when you're introducing a new idea. Let's say you're describing a beautiful girl, the most beautiful person you've met. Maybe in the first paragraph, you're describing how intelligent they are, how smart they are, smart in their decisions, smart in the way they do their work. So if you want to move on to their physical appeal, then you open a new paragraph. Telling your reader, no, that girl is not just smart. Have you seen her round eyes? Have you seen her shapely legs? And then now you're moving on to the physical tense. If you want to describe their voice, that would be another paragraph, okay? So paragraphing is very relevant, and it helps you to introduce new ideas, not just grouping words, not just grouping a number of words together. They must be new ideas in a new paragraph. That's the whole point of paragraphing. Now about how much content you must write for examination purposes. Remember, you must have at least 2 pages. I know students who write less, and I know those that write a lot. So both extremes are not good. You must limit your work to fit on 2 pages at most, and at least 1 3/4. If you write just 1 page, then your work is just maybe an example or something that is supposed to be used for a different purpose. But if they ask you to write 500 to 600 words, those are at least 1.5 pages or 2, depending on your handwriting. Then one other tip I want us to think about is using the past tense consistently. When you're narrating a story, it shows that you're writing about something that passed, something that is in the past. You're talking about a party that you attended and you found so interesting, you found so organized. That means it passed. So your language, your tense must entirely be a past tense. I wrote this because I've seen this with experience. Students start very well when they are using the past tense, when they are on the causal stage. When they get to the climax and they are explaining emotions and feelings and exciting places, they now switch to the present tense. So a story starts very well. We left home, moved to the venue. You see, that's the past tense. And before you know it, a student is using the present tense. I enter the room, I see Martha. What's that? You must consistently use the past tense. And your teachers are always on the lookout. They can't wait for you to switch off, and then they deduct they deduct your scores. So please be steady and write consistently in the past tense without switching to the present continuous, or any other tense. Imaginative compositions are usually written in the past tense. However, if you must use the present tense, there is a student I teach who likes writing in the present tense, and I allow her to be free. You must now stick to the present tense. Yes, you're allowed to tell your story, but you must consistently write that tense. I encourage you to use the past tense. It's easier, because for people who want to write in the present tense, they end up falling back to the past since the event is in the past. So why not stick to the past? It's easier that way. Let's do it like that. Then finally on this slide, use a variety of sentence lengths and constructions. You can have long sentences and then short sentences. Even in the Bible, our wonderful book, we have a sentence that has only 2 words. Jesus wept. Complete sentence. So as long as you have complete sentences, you can have longer sentences that are joined with conjunctions, and then you have those very short sentences accompanying the longer ones. Why? It allows the reader to take a breath. After you have described how you were traumatized maybe and what happened, how you were crying, how you had lost hope, then at the end you can put a full stop and say, I could not believe it. Or it was too much. Such a complete story short, it allows your reader to take a deep breath and inhale what you've just, packed in their mind. And then about different structures, feel free to apply all the things you read in paper 2. When you go to senior 3, you will find that you have paper 1 and paper 2. Paper 1 is for functional writing and creative writing. Paper 2 deals with comprehension, summary writing, and then grammar. So all those grammatical sentences that you study about and the rules, please apply them when you're writing your story. Constructions like using no sooner had I entered the room than I set my eyes on the most beautiful girl on earth. See, you're employing what you read in paper too. Neither, nor, having, those sentences beginning with having, all those phrases you have studied about from senior one. Now is the time for you to employ them as you're telling your story. Please employ them correctly, because if you don't, then you will miss out on the spark marks for using the sentence variety. Yes, that's a wonderful tip that you must employ. Okay, on to the next slide. Yes, I got for us an example of a short story, very short. And I don't know if we can magnify. Yes, I can magnify from my own screen. So let's see if we have someone that can read for us this exemplary work. It is on one page, but I encourage you to read it, understand it, and see if you can enlarge it and make it longer. This is just an example. So who wants to read for us? I need a new reader. 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 Emanuela has not said anything. Yes, Emanuela.
A sticky situation. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and at 7 years old, no time felt more desperate than sneaking a forbidden pancake before sunrise. I tiptoed through the dimly light hallway in my pajamas and socks that muffled each cautious step. The need of the banana pancakes kept in the fridge since my father brought them home was too powerful to resist. Their sweet, inviting aroma lingered faintly, a beacon to my hungry stomach. I couldn't wait any longer. With a soft click, I opened the fridge. As I reached for the pancakes, the creak of my father's door opening shattered the silence. Panic surged through me like a bolt of electricity. Thinking quickly, or maybe not thinking at all, I did the only thing that made sense in my panicked state. I stuffed the pancakes into my socks. Yes, my socks. Standing there, ankles oddly lumpy and heart racing, I tried to look nonchalant as my father appeared in the doorway. His eyes immediately dropped to my suspiciously swollen socks, and a slow smile appeared on his face before he erupted into laughter. "What are you hiding, Esther?" He managed in between gasps of air. Defeated, I sheepishly pulled the sticky pancakes from my socks, my face burning with embarrassment. My dad's laughter filled the room, a contagious joy that soon had the whole family laughing at breakfast. Even now, every time I see banana pancakes or socks, I can't help but laugh at my own ridiculousness.
Okay, thank you so much for taking us through this session wonderfully. You have done a wonderful job, and I believe we have all heard the story, the sticky situation. Do you see that title? Very amazing. So apart from the title, what else do you find interesting in this story? Let me see if you got anything exciting in this story that I picked for you. What do you find extraordinary? Do you think this writer followed some of the rules that we have discussed in our previous slides? If yes, please raise your hand and spot them out. Okay, I'll start with Kaylee.
The starter.
What is her starter?
Madam, it's long.
Sorry? It's long?
It's
Oh,
off.
oh, sorry. Einstein is going to share again, just in a bit.
Desperate times call for desperate measures, and at 7 years old, no time left, more desperate than sneaking a forbidden pancake before sunrise.
Thank you so much. That is her starter. Imagine, desperate times call for desperate measures. Like, okay, what happened? What is in this sticky, tricky situation? So I see how this writer hooks the audience, and you want to read on and on. What is a 7-year-old doing in the hallway before sunrise? And this 7-year-old is actually desperate and is looking for desperate measures. You want to read on and on. I like that. I like that you've seen that, my dear Kaylee. What else is here? Maria Martha, do you have something to pick from this story?
Yes, I have something to pick and a few questions, but let me first share. Her value of coherence, how her story was flowing was wonderful, from her introduction to the part where she was caught by her father, and how her father reacted. It was flowing properly, and even in her conclusion about how she looks at a so-called pancake and remembers what she did.
Okay, thank you very much for that wonderful observation. Now you said you have a question. Please.
Yes, I have actually there too. So my
Okay.
question is, sometimes when we are doing writing, they limit us with words and say, oh, 300. So should we follow that, or we still continue writing 2 pages?
Okay, that's your first question. Do you want to ask both questions so that I answer them at once, or you want to get the answer to that?
Then also, sometimes when they ask us for stories that, for example, don't involve past tense, like how can I say it? Like when they tell you maybe to write about how it feels to be ridiculous. Oh, okay, like a composition for you to explain something. Because there are some compositions that they sample us with, which are not for narrating, that maybe involve you trying to talk about something, like for example that.
Okay, thank you for those amazing questions. Now I'm going to start with the first one, which was about, let me start with the last one, about the tense. When you're writing argumentative writing, it is okay. You can, or descriptive writing, they say, describe your favorite teacher. There you can use, you should actually use the present tense. But this tip is about creative writing, narrating a story, narrative compositions. That's why I emphasize that we should use the past tense. But if you're doing descriptive writing or argumentative writing, imagine if you're writing the effects of corruption. There you have to use the present tense. Then the first question about words, that is just an estimate. Yes, and I kept emphasizing depending on your handwriting. Usually 100 words fit on half a page. Yes, half a page. So by the time you get to 200, you're filling a page. And then now 250, you're on half a page. then maybe 350, you're filling the second page. So the estimate is just there. Even if you count your words, usually they will take you to the next page. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay, so it's almost the same thing. And then for descriptive and argumentative writing, feel free to change the tense. But for narrative writing, when you're telling a story, you like in the UNEB question that we had, as you're narrating a story about, I think it was about an organized party that you've ever attended, I expect you to write in the past tense, because you have ever attended. Even in the scenario, they are telling you that it happened and it passed. So it goes without saying that you must use the past tense. Thank you for those wonderful questions. So back to our story. If you have something that you find extraordinary about this story, please share with us. I am interested in people that have not said anything. I am interested in seeing new names. We have all 83 participants. It cannot be just a few people wanting to participate. Please raise your hand if you've not done anything, if not said anything. I don't know if I've picked Emanuela, but let me give her a chance. Yes, Emanuela?
So I like the way she has paragraphed. She has paragraphed them in a way that each paragraph has a different event.
Okay. Thank you so much, Emanuela, and that's true. I also like the way she has picked her paragraphing mode. In the very first one, she's giving us the starter, hooking our attention. The second one, how she moved to the kitchen, to the fridge to pick the pancake. In the third, the father is the second paragraph has the interest, the temptation. The third has her opening the fridge and the father coming in. Then the fourth has her reaction as the father is looking at the bulging stockings. And then the last one is, that final laughter. So that's true. Emanuela, I like your point. The paragraphing is really carefully thought about. Kimberly, I have Kimberly here.
One thing I like about her composition is the grammar. It's not too hard, but again, it's not too easy. It's a wonderful selection of words.
Okay, thank you so much, Kim. I also like her choice of words, man. It's too good, too good. With a soft click, I opened the fridge. Sure. Some
Yes.
people will just be writing and they're not even giving you any imagination. With a soft click, stealthy opening the fridge. Which other word was there? There are very many. The choices are really wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you for identifying that. Let me see. Zuriel, what have you seen?
I like
Sorry? Oh, I think Zuriel has got an issue. I can't hear her. Let me see if Teddy will be able to speak to us. Yes, Teddy?
The writer's use of punctuation.
Okay. Where exactly? Zuriel, do you want to explain your point? Oh, okay. So Zuriel has muted herself, but her point is very clear. The use of punctuation in this story is really, really appropriate. Now, I'm going to focus more on the direct speech when the father grabs her and it's like finds her in that funny situation, the sticky situation indeed, asks, "What are you hiding, Esther?" Do you see how she punctuates that direct speech? What are you hiding, Esther? We have the open quotes, we have the comma, we have the full stop, closing quotes. And that's exactly how we should be doing it. Even the use of commas, like up there again on with a soft click, there is a comma. I opened the fridge, a full stop. So the punctuation marks are very, very appropriately effected and employed. Look at that last paragraph. Defeated, I sheepishly pulled the sticky pancakes from my socks, my face burning with embarrassment. The use of commas is excellent in that sentence as well. Thank you, Zuria, for identifying that. I have someone that is using Airtel A665L. Please unmute, tell us your name, and then give us your point. Please unmute. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, Trevor, your hand has been up, but I got
My
worried
name
about.
is Francesca.
Okay, Francesca.
I think in this story, what I think the way she used the grammar, her grammar.
Okay, the grammar. What about the grammar is so interesting? Oh, sorry about that, Francesca. But yes, the grammar is carefully chosen. Trevor, do you have something for us?
Me, madam, according to what I've analyzed in this composition, the title is related to the information that's in the composition.
That's true. That's true.
And the title
Thank you.
was
Sorry? Okay, Trevor's point is about the title, which is very, very relevant to the story. A sticky situation, indeed. Sticky pancakes, sticky aroma. You know, the girl is stuck in the hallway with the desire to go and pick a pancake. Then the father finds him. They are now stuck and sticky in the stockings. And everything is just a situation. So I like the choice. The title choice is excellent. Thank you, Trevor, for identifying that. Let me see. Nora, again.
Okay, for me, I like what she did in the second paragraph. At the end, she wrote, I stuffed the pancakes into my socks. Yes, my socks. I like how she emphasized that.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nora, for identifying that. The emphasis there is top notch. Like, it's unbelievable, but yeah, I put them in my stockings. I know, this is the writer trying to get into your mind. I know you're wondering if you read that right, so they get to your feelings and emphasize it. Yes, I said it. You read that right. My stockings. It's interesting and very creative for you to do as a writer to emphasize some of the things you want your readers to give a second glance. Okay. Let me see who has not spoken and is dying to say something about this story. Okay. Let me see. Kimberly spoke once, so I could give her another chance.
Another thing is the rate of exaggeration. It is, I think, actually, when you're exaggerating your story, it should be believable. And how she wrote her story, obviously, it may have been something that's not true, but in real life, it's something that can happen. So if it was exaggerated, the exaggeration is believable enough.
Okay, thank you so much, Kimberly. And I agree with you. So, Kimberly thinks that the dose of exaggeration given in the story is just sufficient. It's enough. So, once you choose to exaggerate, make sure your work can be believable. Let it be something that can happen to someone. Yes. Thank you for identifying that. So, finally, I am going to ask one of my co-hosts to say something about the story. Co-hosts, are you there? My co-hosts, Einstein and
Yeah.
Isaac. Please say something about the story. What do you think is outstanding, depending on the tips that we have looked at?
Okay. Well, for me, I just find it's all right. It's all exploring the coherences. Okay. Then also the second paragraph, like explained how what pulled her. Okay, like it's like a tug of war. What the pancakes, the inviting aroma, then also fact that she could be called. So she considered those possibilities, came up with a nice title. So it was like a sticky situation. Yeah, so it was like well thought of, and yeah, I appreciate it's a nice one. It was like I was reading like a chapter in a
Okay.
novel or something.
Thank you so much, Einstein. Yes, I like that. The writer really takes her time to show us the sticky situation and not just talk about it. Not, we don't meet words like I was greedy, it was smelling nice, some vague expressions like nice. No, there is inviting. Then um then how their sweet inviting aroma lingered faintly, a beacon, something that is calling upon her. And the hungry stomach is there, and the way she couldn't wait any longer. So that description really shows us, and it does less of the telling and more of the showing. Ends up being a wonderful example for us to even use in our lesson. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So we are going to have prompts. I'm going to share them right now. Let me see. I think I have this book on my phone. Okay, Einstein, can you see my screen?
No.
You can't. How about now?
Yeah, now I can see.
Okay, very good. So I want to share these. Where is it? Senior 3 for us to have those prompts. I found them in our book. Most of us have the New Vision textbooks, and they're there. So I'm just going to scroll the pages and get the book. Let it first open.
Ariel, please give teacher right.
Oh, thank you so much. Sorry about that. I got off. Let me share my screen again. Is my screen showing? Einstein?
Yes, it's showing.
Okay, so I was giving you instructions when the network got bad on my end. So I was saying we have these childhood memories, and these are just prompts. These are things that are supposed to trigger our decision. I want you to read from Keitesi, Bosa, Achen, Wanyama, and Wabwire, and you see which one you can relate with best, and you develop a story from it. You can give it a starter and then put their prompt in the middle, or just choose to write something related to their prompts. These are just experiences I chose to allow you to trigger your thought about childhood memories. So we are going to read, and as the people chosen read, others will be listening. Does any of the memories here relate to your childhood experience? If yes, then pick that one and develop it into a complete story of around maybe 500 words. Yes. Let me see. Einstein, your job is to pick for me people that are willing to read for us. We can have two readers. One will read Keitese and Bosa, and the last reader will read Achen, Wanyama, and Wabwire's prompts.
Okay, Keitesi.
Okay.
For me, childhood memories are all made up of recollections of tasty food. I used to enjoy sauce mixed with ghee, accompanied with bananas and milk. Now that is the taste of childhood. Tomorrow, I'm going to grab a can of condensed milk. I just realized how much I miss it. You all know what I'm talking about.
Okay, thank you. You can read for us, Bosa, as well.
When I was 5, I was always convinced that my dad, when he came back from work in the evening, got busy while watching news on TV or reading his newspapers. I would sometimes miss him lifting me up. To grab his attention, I would always go to my room, grab some toys and deliberately break them. Then I would bring them to him so he could fix them. This way, I would play with him and pull his necktie. Sometimes I would hide his newspapers or the TV remote so that he attends to me.
Okay, thank you very much. What's your name?
Arengo Emanuela.
Thank you so much, Emanuela, for reading for us those first two prompts, one from Keitesi, one from Bosa. Someone here may want to write a story, to narrate a story about a childhood memory related to their best food. And another person may want to talk about how they used to fight for attention at home. These are just prompts. You don't have to write exactly what is in the prompt, but it's just something supposed to guide your choice of writing. Craving attention, then maybe about food. Let's get one other reader. Einstein, you can pick someone willing to read for us these last 3 prompts.
Madam, I'm reading. I said,
Yes, please.
My grandmother used to work in the garden the whole day. One time, she didn't keep her eye on me, and I sneaked out. She found me inside the granary, all white. Guess what? I had poured and smeared myself with all the maize flour, and was the perfect description of a ghost. She was scared to the bone, thinking the stories she had been narrating to us about ghosts had become a reality. She screamed at the top of her voice, and fainted. Luckily, the caring neighbors came to her rescue, but cautioned me never to prank grandmother again or play with food.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, continue.
One time, when I was in primary 4, my mother took my youngest sibling for immunization. She left me in charge of giving my other sibling porridge, and then we could have lunch at exactly midday. Before reaching far, she realized she had forgotten the immunization card, so she came back for it. It was about 10:30 a.m., and she found us already eating. We had not waited for midday.
Okay. Finally, Wabwire.
Should I continue?
Yes, I want you to read for us even the third, that Wabwire part.
Okay. My mother was invited to an urgent meeting, and she left me in charge of watching over the millet she had spread outside to dry so that chickens would not eat and pour it. Immediately she left, my friends came to play. We played dodgeball, and I eventually forgot about the millet. By the time she came back, the chicken had eaten, poured, scattered, and mixed all the millet with sand. I was thoroughly whipped.
Okay, thank you very much for your another excellent reader. Thank you also, our Emanuela, that took us through the very first prompts. Amazing, amazing readers here. And I hope you are listening, because remember, listening is a skill that you need. So I want you to take a minute and choose the story you think you want to develop. Is it the one about favorite meals? Is it bosses about craving for attention and, throwing tantrums for your parents to come close to you and play with you? Is that what you hold as your most precious childhood memory? Or can you develop a story, even if it's fiction? Can you develop a story about it? Then, for a chain, I think this is where I picked the title, The Granary Ghost. So if you can develop that story and give it a bit more detail, then you're good to go. Or do you want to develop Wanyama's food story, where his parent told him to keep his siblings company and keep the food and eat it at midday, but at 10:30 they were already having their feast and their mother landed on them? Do you want to develop that into a complete story of about 500 words? Or do you want to do a Wire's experience about neglecting housework, or maybe the chores that his parents gave him, and then he ended up getting a serious beating where he was thoroughly whipped? I want you to pick your prompt, write it down in your book, and then plan to develop it at the top of the hour. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just pick one. You don't have to develop all of them. Just pick one story that you will enlarge creatively. Einstein, we have someone's hand up. You can ask them what they have for us or what they want to know if they need clarity.
I was asking,
Yes, please.
that can you, like, if you've picked a story, can you remove some of the scenarios and put your own scenarios?
Yes, yes, you're allowed to modify the story.
Okay.
It's okay.
Madam,
Yes, please.
I just have a question. Okay, I think it's out of the lesson plan, but I was just asking. I missed the past two lessons. I was just requesting if I could check the former notes and maybe go through or copy too.
Yes, yes, it's allowed. Are you in the WhatsApp group?
Yes, I just joined, guys. I don't have the recent
Oh,
one.
okay. Have you got the PowerPoint that we've just shared right now?
Yes, I do.
It has everything from lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. Just open it and maybe follow the different guidelines there. And I'm going to share my number at the end of the lesson in case you have any questions or in case you do your work and you want me to look at it. But it's the same PowerPoint. I keep developing it for exactly that purpose. In case someone missed the previous class, they should be able to open it and have lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3. I hope that's okay with you. Have you tried to open it to see the different works there?
Good afternoon, Madam, once again.
Good afternoon to you.
Madam, I was asking, what if you can't relate to any of the stories above?
That is where your fiction comes in. At least pick one that you think you can develop, because usually, even in your exams, they will set for you a scenario and expect you to develop it. Okay, so I want you to pick one that you can at least develop. Okay, because usually they will ask you to write about a party. And I have some people that have never really attended parties, but you must use your knowledge of the lesson and maybe apply some fiction. It must not be, it doesn't have to be a true story. So pick one that you can at least develop and come up with a believable story.
Okay.
Yes,
And
thank
Madam,
you.
can you share the PDF of this work in the group?
I'm going to share it, obviously. I'm going to take a screenshot and share it for people that maybe are writing slowly or people that may want to change their scenarios from the food to the granary ghost. I'm going to take a screenshot definitely and share it in our WhatsApp group.
Okay, thank you, Madam.
You're welcome. Okay, so our time for this activity is up. Let me now stop sharing and allow Einstein to share again, taking us to the very slide we were on. Someone's hand is up. Zuriel, yes, go ahead and ask if you have a question.
Can you just take an idea from you that you just
Zuriel, I'm sorry, I can't hear what you're saying. I don't know if it's a network issue. Maybe you can type in the meeting chat and I'll be able to respond. Okay, Einstein, is this our last slide? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your cooperation. Thank you, friends, for taking part in this lesson. Thank you for answering when we called upon you. Thank you for volunteering to read for us. And then big thank you to Einstein. Thank you for making this lesson smoothly happen. Thank you for sharing your resources with us. Thank you for sharing our PowerPoint. and being there for us from the beginning to the end. So we are now going to stop our lesson, our online engagement, and go to our individual exercise books and develop our story. I'm going to share the screenshot that shows our prompts for you to be able to develop your story. Our PowerPoint is already in the group, and I expect that you will share with me your answers. Right now, allow me to share my contact for those that don't have it. Let me type it here in our meeting chat as I read it for those that may not know how to open the chat. So my contact number that is on WhatsApp is 0786 266 006. When you develop your story, write it and take a clear picture of it. If you have a scanner, you can scan it. Just like the example we had in the story, when you scan your work, it becomes so clear. Let me come, okay? Let me come. And so I was saying that you can do your work and scan it for it to be legible, for it to be clear. Those that don't have scanners, try to take a clear picture. And then those that can't type, you can even make your work a Word document and share it with me on WhatsApp. Thank you very much. Thank you, Isaac, my other co-host. You're always prompt and, up to the task. You have even already shared the WhatsApp link, the link to our WhatsApp group. If you're not on that platform, you're missing out, because that's where we share all the work concerning Senior 3.